All right, so let's wrap this up and finish out this song. We are currently on cue 13, so just a few more cues to go, and then we'll plug in our commands. So we can talk about a couple different effects and everything. Let me go ahead and just let me copy the chorus and soft instrumental, and we can kind of use this soft instrumental as the end cue, like where the song basically just ends. So let's do this real quick. Let's copy song, or copy cue 8 plus 9, and we'll do it at 14. Hit please. Let's copy. And sometimes, I mean, you could select status or cue only, just depending on the effects that you use and everything. I tend to not select them at all. So here we have we're on the drop cue, and let's see what happens now. Out of this cue, things should come back on, as it does. So, I mean, that was a nice transition. So we're back into a big chorus, and then what we'll do, let's see, let's see, we have our slim bars going over here, and let me just go ahead and change those to 100% so you can see those better. I know we talked about how these lights are super bright, and probably in real life we'll set those to that intensity, but for now we'll go ahead and put these at 100% so that way you can see them. And again, I'll open up this window, I'll make it bigger. Now you can see it a lot better. Just talking about the effect editor real quick. So you have a lot of different options right here, and I'll kind of use the rest of this video to talk about this, and then we'll wrap it up. But basically, we talked about quantity. It's pretty obvious right here. You have 18 slim bars, so that's why it says 18 right there. Interleave and attribute and everything. Interleave you don't really have to worry about. Mode, absolute, and relative, that's not really changed. It does a good job for you to tell you what effect needs to be absolute and relative. And you can look that up in the GrandMA manual, or look on other videos on YouTube about this, but that's a whole nother video to talk about all of that. The form is kind of what I want to talk about right now too. So really what we mainly use on the weekends at the Life Church here, for dim effects basically. So we use PMW a lot. Chase, I use it rarely, and I mainly use it for quick transitions, like if the drums are building and I kind of want like a strobe effect, but not a true strobe, if that makes sense. I want it to build into that effect and then just go back to like either fully open or like a sine wave, something that's not too harsh to the eyes. And you'll notice like flat low and flat high, you won't use those. Sine wave, definitely use that a lot. I do use ramp plus and ramp minus a lot. Those can definitely come in handy. And then swing right here, I like this. It's kind of like a sine wave, but it's a quicker sine wave, and the intensity would drop a lot quicker than in a sine wave. So sometimes, like in a sine wave, it doesn't truly go to 0%, even though it says it. But looking at the light on stage, it doesn't drop to 0%, but a swing does. And you can edit all of these, really. You can create your own effects. So I mean, you see some of these right here. I've actually pulled some of these from the GrandMA website, from the share forum and everything, and you can get really creative with it all. So you can make your own effects. Rate, I mean, that changes when you change the speed and everything. So I mean, if I double it, you see that the rate is now at 1.0. Speed group and everything, that's for another video. Speed group will basically connect it to, you can connect it to like the Highland Speedmaster. So like if you made this effect into an actual cue and that was it, to where you use it for manual worship basically, or busking or whatever, and you wanted a Speedmaster to be on it, this is where you'll select that. And so you'd make it HLD1. But we'll do no Speedmaster for now. Direction's pretty cool. You can just change the direction of the actual effect. For this one, it's symmetrical. So let's see what happens if I do that. So you see, if you can look up here, I'll make this a little bigger. So look at the way it's going now. Let me see what happens if I do this. So yeah, it just goes the opposite way. And then bounce. just bounces from one direction to the other. So really cool. I mean, GrandMA has a lot of cool features built into it. And then let's see, low value and high value again. And when you're dimming everything, or when you're using dimmer effects, this means 0% and 100%. So you could have it fade down to just like 20% and not go all the way off if you wanted to. So you can kind of see it in there. Let me do this. Let me do 60% so you can kind of see it better in the layout view. So you see how it's cutting off, but it's not cutting off all the way. It's because it's going from 100 to 60%. And then you can also do this too. For moving light, sometimes if you put 0 in here, it doesn't go to 0 all the way. You can actually go into negatives here. You can put -30. That way it would be off longer. That's kind of how the swing effect works too, but you could really mess with this, and you know, it almost becomes like a true chase almost. Phase and width and all that, for at least us, you don't have to worry about that much. I mean, you could dive into it if you want. Attack and decay and all that. And then groups, blocks, and wings we do use a lot. So, you know, groups we showed you earlier, blocks and wings, so really no need to go over that again. Single shot is pretty cool. So if you want to do a single shot, basically it goes through the effect just once and that's it. So I'll demonstrate this really quick. I'll do the elf bars on this one. So if I select the elf bars and do, well, let me stay on that same page. I'll do an effect, and then I'll do dimmer sign, but then I'm going to change this to ramp minus. Let's do groups of 1, so that way they're all in the same group. They're all going to come on and go off at the same time. And then you can either select single shot right here, say yes, or you can just simply click it right there. All right. Now watch what happens. It's just going to go through it once, and it's going to go off like that. So pretty cool. I usually use that for hits, like if the drums hit really big on one part, or if it's like the beginning of a big chorus, something like that. It's really cool. You can also create that same effect using like what we did earlier with delays and fade times as well. You don't necessarily have to do an effect. So whatever you want to do with that. And then kind of last thing I want to talk about with the effects, we'll go here, is shuffle selection. You can do shuffle selection in the effects too if you would like to do that. Trying to get my show file saved here. It's taking its sweet time. So I'll take a single shot off, and then I'll do shuffle selection. You can hit as many times and shuffle it however much you want. Definitely take one groups off because it's just going to be in one group if you keep that on 0. And then we should actually be seeing something right now. So yeah, it's just all shuffled. It's going in on its own right now, just in a random order. And you can see it better on here too, right down here. All right. And I'll let you guys kind of discover this right here on your own, but edit effect line. So basically it goes even more in depth into the effects, into your low and high values, your speed, your phase from and phase 2, and your width and your form. So you can do a lot. The effects engine in GrandMA 2 is awesome. It can take a while to learn, just depending on your brain and how you process things. So, but I mean, again, it's awesome. Love it, love it. So let's finish this out here. I'll clear everything out, and so what we did is, we copied those 2 cues over from earlier, and let's go ahead and name this cue crash. And usually what I like to do on a crash is kind of open up everything, especially when the drums are doing their little trash can. And let's see, so if we go right here, so everything goes out, but let's bring everything back in, everything that was on at least. Let me do floor 330s, let me do elf bar, or not elf bars, but side SBs, floor SBs, and then your top 330s. And then for now I'll do at full But when you're actually programming, just think of the room and what's going to be best for the room. So everything's white, everything comes up, big intensity, big. So the drums are crashing and everything. I'm going to store that into crash. And just to demonstrate this real quick, we'll go execution time at 0, and let's hit go back. All right. Let me kind of make this smaller here. Nope, don't do that. And I'll hit go. Crashing out, everything stops. Looking good. And then what I want to do is take my lights I just programmed and turn them off now. So floor 330s, top 330s, and my slim bars at 0, please. And then store that into a queue, which is going to be queue 16. And then I'll store another queue really quick, and this is going to be my off queue. So I just stored 2 queues, and I'm going to name Q16 end. I'm going to have that fade out at 3 seconds. And then I'm going to do this one as off. Alright, so we have a full song. We are set. And the quicker, or the more you do this, the quicker you'll become at doing this. I'd say for a fast song that's really detailed and everything, it probably takes me about an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours to do a song. But again, I like to be detailed, so you can be very simple and get this done in like 30, 45 minutes if you wanted to. And then slower songs can take maybe about 30, 45 minutes, just depending on the song. And now I'll hit go, and you'll see the lights fade out. And when I go to this off queue, it's not going to do it right now, but once we have our command set and everything, it will turn off this whole executor and go to the next song or do whatever you want.